Oh, we're live.
Are we live?
Oh, I gotta turn down my volume. Yes, we avoided the hellscape. This time we avoided the hellscape.
This time we have avoided the hellscape.
Oh, hello, everybody. My name is Catt Kristen.
Oh, my goodness.
He has no name. Tom has no name. Not at all. This is
A cat by any other name still meows the same.
Proven. This is my C-bitch.
Hi.
This is Catt Kristen, where we talk about cosplay, the community, what's going on.
There's a lot going on.
Woo!
There's too much going on.
There's too much going on.
Katsu crunching! Katsu crunching!
We first want to, as always, give out our most heartfelt, our hearts are with everyone working on Katsu Crunch.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
Team Tom being Effie. Team Tom being Effie.
I have to do so much research to figure out that character.
Oh my gosh, I will help and assist in any way that I can.
I know.
We have cheesecake.
We have cheesecake today.
That's today. That's
as my fork goes flying.
Tom's just
Forks
forks
go flying with me, you know. Plates go flying with me.
I love when people in the comments, I'm going to hate on you for a second, Kevin, say hi to one of us, like the other isn't here. Kevin just said, hey, Tom. Hi, Kevin.
Wow. Just call out.
Calling it out.
Call out culture.
Calling
My
him
goodness.
Out. That's it. I don't want to promote call out culture, but calling you out, Kevin. Just kidding. But really, I'm not.
Hi, Kevin.
Oh, hi, Kevin.
Hi,
And then
Kevin.
hilariously, my cousin Kevin. Hello, cousin Kevin. If you're actually watching this, came on a second later as we're making fun of another Kevin.
It's just we're just that coordinated.
We are.
And if you notice, I have a yellow mug and she has a purple one.
Literally, completely by mistake. Completely by mistake.
Having said that,
Yeah.
let's get down to business to defeat
the Huns.
The Huns. Oh. Did they send me daughters when I asked for sons?
But when will my reflection show who
she is
inside? That's it. I'm calling Kristen out for being part of call out culture. How dare you? You have no proof. You have no proof at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Calling out Chris Deb. He corrected himself to Chris Deb. Oh my god. This is already a wonderful what's it called? Broadcast. Good times. Hello, everyone. So today's main topic, we have a bunch of subtopics.
A lot of subtopics.
But our main topic that we will get to in a little bit is Patreon, which is a big topic in the cosplay community. A bigger topic than I ever would have thought.
That I really would want it to be, to tell you the God's gracious truth.
But here we are.
Talking about
so many statuses about Patreon recently. I feel like it just keeps on coming back around, and like every joke is about Patreon, everything's about Patreon.
If a bitch is making money, someone getting pissed off at
it. Somebody's mad. Somebody's mad about it.
Someone is Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yeah,
someone is Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh my god.
I'm
amazing.
Done.
Cackling for life.
See, this time I'm the one that's going to break her today.
Good. I'm due for a good old breakdown.
But before we dive headlong into this, I do want us to address the status that we had posted the other day about those two individuals that wanted to turn a convention into a modern day Columbine. Now,
you wouldn't think we'd have to talk about this.
Why in the year 2018 do we... Oh, wait, never mind. It's 2018.
Okay. So... for those of you that didn't see, just a quick recap in general. There were, first of all, at ALA, Anime LA, is that what it is?
Anime Los Angeles.
Yes. Anime Los Angeles. There were two gentlemen, I assume gentlemen, I'm pretty sure gentlemen, who were dressed as the Columbine shooters. Not an appropriate cosplay.
You know,
not cool.
I at one point, one episode that we will do is appropriate and inappropriate cosplays at a convention, because this isn't like Halloween where you can do as you please.
No.
Because
No. And even Halloween, you can't even...
Even Halloween, I would advise against.
Yeah, I would advise truly against that. But there were two gentlemen in ALA that were dressed as Columbine shooters. Then there is somebody who, I believe on 4chan, or on some social media site that got a lot of traction. There was somebody who...
4chan, it was on 4chan.
It was 4chan, right?
It was 4chan.
Yeah, so on 4chan, there was a gentleman who was saying that he was going to go to Phoenix Comic-Con and was going to shoot the place up, which is obviously very concerning, especially in this day and age. Like, it was an anonymous comment, whatever, and say what you will about it, that, like, it was just a comment made on the internet. We have to take that shit really seriously these days. Like, the amount of these incidents that happen per month now are insane, and, like,
per week,
yeah, it's crazy. And so it's not something that you joke about online. And so as far as we're concerned, people have been taking that really seriously and have been warning Phoenix Comic-Con. We know that ALA was made aware of the situation, which is great. And they actually have apparently extra security this year.
I'm not saying this in a joking way, but knowing is half the battle.
Yeah, absolutely. And they apparently ALA had a lot more security this year and had a lot of other stuff that people really commended it for. But it's really scary,
but
guys.
we really should not be having to worry about this, because conventions for a lot of people are a safe haven. Conventions for a lot of people started out as a place for people of nerd culture to get together and have a good time. Yeah. And now people are trying to essentially take that away.
Yeah.
And my question is, what purpose is that serving?
No.
What... and I mean, we could say this about any of the other shootings that have happened.
Yeah. Yep.
There should be... There's no reason why this should be a thing. Mm-mm. And you know, it's funny. I'm gonna get a little political on this topic, because it's very important to me.
Yeah, of course. It's safety.
One of the things that I've noticed is people do not know how to come to terms with the best way to handle gun control. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, not that it matters much, but it is still an opinion, is if you don't want this stuff to happen, we need to, in a way, make health insurance more easily accessible and more affordable, because people need to have the background checks in order to get the gun licenses.
Oh, accurate, yeah.
And that's definitely something that I feel needs a brighter spotlight on it.
It does, yeah, and it's just, it keeps on coming back into the conversation. And again, like, it's important in this lens where we're talking about it. I'm gonna sneeze, so vamp. But there's a no, never mind. We're good. It went away. I magicked it away. Damn, I sneeze. No, it's like it's unfortunately, like, it's a thing that just keeps on coming up over and over again. And now the fact that it, like, could potentially bleed into conventions, and that could be a place where these sorts of things happen. I mean, it's been a concern for a while, but, like, seeing somebody actually threaten that and write that down.
It really makes you think, because there have been so many people that have been doing the Orlando shooting, Sandy Hook. I was going to say Fish Hook. I'm sorry,
Sandy Hook. Yeah,
sea bitch all the way through. Sandy Hook. What happened in Columbine? What happened at Virginia Tech?
Yeah.
Like, why are these things happening?
Yeah.
Is the big question that a lot of people are having, and we can't keep on blaming. Terrorism, mental illness.
Yeah.
There's clearly a bigger issue.
Yeah. Yep.
And I mean, I don't want this to be too politically charged, but it is something that now that it's been brought into our home, we have to essentially look at with a sharper magnifying glass, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Is this a comfortable topic to talk about?
No.
Not in the slightest.
Not even in the...
But it is a conversation that we are going to have to start having more frequently. Yeah. We should have been talking about it more after Sandy Hook. We should be talking about it more after Orlando. We should be talking about it more after Las Vegas. But we're not. And clearly there's a problem with that.
Yeah.
We should not be scared to have conversations like this. As a matter of fact, there's one that I'd like to point out.
Yeah.
There was a meme, or just a random post that I saw either on Facebook or Tumblr that said, we should be having these conversations at the dinner table because when we don't, that's how we end up in the situations that we're in.
Yeah, and where it becomes taboo and where
where it becomes like, oh, we shouldn't be talking about that.
You shouldn't have an opinion.
We shouldn't be addressing this.
You shouldn't have an opinion about that.
And it's so disheartening to...
And it's a complex issue, don't get me wrong, and constitutionally and all this other stuff, it's a complex issue. But at the same token, the fact that we are all we have to put so much value into what these people are saying because there is a good chance that they can get a hold of the tools necessary to carry out these acts is really where it becomes terrifying.
That's where it becomes an issue.
Yeah, it becomes terrifying.
That's where it becomes a problem.
I don't take these things lightly at all anymore. Not that I ever did, but it's just so frequent now. This is not how it used to be.
It's become so problematic that it is now. It's
awful.
It is
awful.
The new normal.
Yeah.
And we have to be proactive in, we've said in numerous videos.
Yeah.
Safety. Con safety is incredibly important.
Our last episode was all about con safety, or 2 episodes ago.
2 episodes ago was about
all
con
about
safety.
con safety.
And there needs to be more security.
Yeah.
There needs to be more. And I know that people are going to complain, "Oh, but weapons policies." Your safety
comes first. And the safety of others.
Comes first.
Yeah.
There should be no qualms or quarreling when it comes to gun safety at conventions.
No. Mm-hmm.
Because it's such an open air type of atmosphere.
Yep.
That anybody can get into it.
I mean, we talked about this when we talked about con safety. The fact that New York Comic Con had those metal detectors, amazing. Did it make me feel safer?
Yes,
absolutely. And that was only about that was only a couple weeks after one of the mass shootings, and that was and I remember that was on my brain. I know, exactly.
One of that.
Yeah. It's, but wrapping, I guess, this topic up. We just want to. We appreciate cons that are taking this matter seriously and that are actively listening to people that are sending them these sorts of hey, I saw this, you should be aware of this sort of stuff.
What's the one, if you live in New York City, what's the one thing everybody tells you? If you see something, say something.
Also, mind the gap. Please
watch
the gap.
Watch the gap.
Watch that gap.
Watch the gap. And I know that we laugh, but honestly, when it comes to something like this,
it's such good cheesecake, guys.
It's so good cheesecake.
It's really good cheesecake.
Good cheesecake. I think, what's the bakery called? Hummel and Hummel?
Something? Delicious and cheesecake?
It's delicious and cheesecake. But we, in both of our cases, we are jokesters.
Yeah.
But there comes a time and a place for serious types of conversations, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
So when we do laugh, it's usually to soften the blow. Yeah. And that's how cynics are formed.
Indeed.
That's how you become a cynic, really, when you laugh at everything.
Fun times. Takes a long sip of tea.
Oh, yeah. The longest sip of tea.
But that wraps up that. If you see something on the internet, say something. Send it a Con's way. It can never hurt. It's only going to help. That's it. Yeah.
Yes. And now that we've covered that bunch of Michigas,
woo!
Let's move on to our next topic.
Woo!
Photographers that think that they are above everybody else.
Woo!
We talk about cosplayers that have their noses in the air.
That have egos.
And that have egos. There are some photographers that kind of do the same thing.
Yes. Yeah.
If you are a photographer, and you say to yourself, "Well, I'm not going to take pictures of a black person."
I trembled. You even saying that out of just disgusting.
I don't want to fuck with you. If you are a photographer and you are saying, I don't want to take pictures of fat people.
Yeah.
I don't fucks with you.
No.
If you are a photographer and 100% of your pictures are skinny broads with big boobs.
White skinny broads with
White big boobs. Skinny broads with big boobs. I don't fucks with you.
No. So this comes up a lot, and like, listen, I'm a considerably like average-bodied white girl. So here I am.
I'm not.
This is like I represent that small. Like, listen, I'm not sculpted, but I'm thin. I'm thin. I'll put that out there. But whatever that means. So, like,
are you having a hard time describing yourself, honey?
Yeah, I don't, because I always feel weird about that.
Okay, I will describe her, and she will describe me.
Great.
Kristen is an average-sized, svelte, female individual.
Ghost human.
Ghost human with a pale complexion.
That's it.
And
so,
I am...
You are a curvy, wonderful, divalicious beauty. With chest hair.
With a lot of chest hair. Thank you, Vin. Appreciate you, Vin.
Chest hair. I hate to tell you this, Matthew. Tom is not an average-bodied white girl. Not.
I'm so sorry. That's... Nope.
There ain't anything about Tom that's average. There is with me. So... That's fine. But I make up for it in charm.
Tom is just... Cat, watch your mouth! Watch your tongue, young lady! Hold your tongue!
Con Mom just went in!
I'm just gonna eat my fucking cheesecake, goddammit.
But I have definitely seen people, heard things from photographers before where they only want to shoot with what is traditionally considered hot women, which unfortunately is still, some of the time, for the majority, white women, and that is bullshit. Because the thing that, this conversation, I brought this up because there were a string of tweets from this amazing cosplayer, Stephanie Michelle. Stephanie Michelle. She's a great cosplayer. She did an amazing thread of tweets that I will post somewhere on the page sometime. She did some really great commentary on some stuff that she saw at ALA. And one of the things that she said is that you are more than entitled as a photographer to shoot whoever you want to shoot modeling-wise. But if you're going to call yourself a cosplay photographer, that's the entire spectrum. You don't get to just take one little slice of that pie. It's a full pie, and it's a beautiful pie. It's great. It's a tin full of a lot of different cookies. Okay, you got rainbow cookies. You got those like Italian
lace cookies. You got lace cookies. You got wedding cookies.
You got brownie cookies.
You got brownie cookies.
Are so great. I love them. So there are a lot of. But what I'm pretty much trying to say is that there's a lot of wonderful POC cosplayers. There are a lot of wonderful curvier cosplayers. There are people all over the spectrum, both fitting that
shameless plugs. There's a cosplay of color on Instagram, and there's also big beautiful cosplayers on Instagram as well.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, and so that's shameless plug. Here we are.
Shameless plugging.
That's it. And like, don't get me wrong. And again, like, as an average-sized white person, I just think about it of like, if somebody did not want to shoot with me because I'm average-sized and white, I'd be like, the fuck? And so flipping that, like, fuck?
My question, what possesses a person to say, I don't want to shoot this person?
Yeah. And to be fair, I think Jason meant male cosplayers when he wrote male cosplayers. And for the record, same thing, definitely. I've seen tons of cosplay photographers that don't think that their stuff will get views or likes or whatever the fuck because they're male cosplayers, and that's such bullshit. I've seen some incredible, some of my top fangirl cosplays have come from male cosplayers. And so that's just like
I look at male cosplayers too for their talent. Sure, why not?
For their talent. That's Sip that 2-year-old. No. Bring it back. Bring it back. You don't need more of that. That's I like how you have your, like, tentacles around it. That's it.
Just, I need to get all that tea.
That's it.
All that tea.
Yeah, that's shitty. Don't do that. That's shitty.
I think what we're trying to say here is, don't be a piece of shit.
Don't. Why be a piece of shit?
Why
when you
be a
could
piece of shit?
Not.
When you could not be.
When we could not.
But
I like that. Chug.
We'll do wine another night, sweet cakes.
Oh my gosh. Katsu-con. Oh, we gotta get wine for Katsu-con.
Yes, we do.
We should get wine for Katsu-con.
We need to get wine for Katsu-con.
But anyway, that's just a thing. Keep in mind, we could do a whole fucking episode.
We could do a whole episode on photographers and
which we would
egos.
like to. Yeah. So stay tuned.
It'll happen eventually.
Stay tuned
kids.
in the future. Hit that like button.
Hit that like button. Subscribe.
Share.
Subscribe to everybody. Share everywhere.
Subscribe. Share. Do it.
Speaking of photographers and skinny, boobalicious white women.
You talking about Patreon?
I'm talking about Patreon, Cheryl.
You talking about Patreon?
I'm talking about Patreon. Now,
Woo!
let's take a step back for a moment. Patreon started as a way for artists to make money.
Yes. Fan funding.
I'll understand that. Fan funding, it's beautiful. I love that idea.
Yeah.
There seems to be an alarming number of people that have an issue with people taking advantage of that system.
Which is a great system. Can vouch. Have been on Patreon for 3 years now. About a year before everyone started for my YouTube videos. About a year before all the cosplayers were like, oh, Patreon. That's a good idea. Because guess what? It is a good idea. Why would you stop people from taking advantage of that great idea?
Systems like Patreon and Coffee were designed to help artists and to help individuals.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with an individual using their body to get money.
No. Also, nobody is forcing anyone to open up their wallet, put their information in PayPal, and sign up to be someone's patron. Nobody is... When you go to buy a coat from Macy's, nobody is there standing like, you bought that coat from Macy's? You bought that coat from... What? Like, I don't understand why everybody is so in an uproar about purchases that other people are making when they're, like, getting a thing. It's a service. You pay money, you get something in exchange. You've made a transaction. How is this different than anything else?
I don't know.
That's...
What?
Ugh.
Now my thing is, there are some people that feel that these, as they call themselves, cosplay models, which we have gone over. There's cosplay modeling, there's role-playing, there's alt modeling, and then there's a combination of all three wheelhouses.
Yes.
Now, what money is being taken from you if someone decides to go and... Now, mind you, I'm using the mentality of I'm just gonna say it, a male cosplayer that has a Patreon where their patrons are buying their products.
Yeah.
Now, your audience is most likely going to be made up of males, females, people that are interested in your craft.
Yeah.
Is that the same audience that's going to be interested in a half-naked model? Perhaps.
Maybe.
But you're not losing any money by having those people going and checking out another person's work.
No. Especially, and this is a real stat, most people that support people on Patreon, as I do, I have a Patreon and I support people on Patreon, are much more likely to support more than one person on Patreon. Patreon's a really great website.
Isn't that a wonderful thing?
It's a wonderful thing.
I think that's wonderful.
It's a wonderful thing.
People supporting other people. What a concept!
What a time!
What a fucking concept! Front page news!
And it's, you know what, and it's so interesting too, because I think some people use Patreon in very different ways too. Some of them use it as like a subscription service, where every month you get something. That's how I run my Patreon. Some people run it, one of the people that I support, Svetlana, Camu Cosplay. She's like the pioneer of armored cosplay, to be honest. She's written books. I've learned so much from her. She uses her page as, very simply, it's a donation page. She does not have any special perks for anybody. She's like, listen, this is the best place for me to do this. She goes, if you want to support me, this is an amazing way to do so. All you get is my eternal love, and that's it. And there's nothing wrong with either of those things inherently. Again, why are we so interested in how other people are spending their money? As long as if they're a nude cosplayer or whatnot, people are of the right age to be buying that content, and that's a whole other ball game. But like in general,
that falls under there are so many. Yeah. I'm positive that there are Patreons out there that say NSFW content over age of 18. If you're not over the age of 18, please see yourself out. There are Patreons that will warn people, saying, "Hey, don't check out my stuff. It's kind of naughty."
Yeah, and I like this because what's it called? Jade said, I won't set one up for myself, but maybe for my podcast. I have to discuss it with my fellow co-hosts, but I'm afraid to because of the stigma. And yeah, the stigma is very, very real. Again, I've been on Patreon for 3 years now. It has made a genuine difference in my life. I love the service. And I love that more people are on it now because it means more people, it gives the site more validity. People aren't anymore like Patreon, like afraid that that's going to like take their money and run with it like it's a fraud site. But I don't get why now there is like a whole stigma of like, oh, well, you're on there, so you must be selling nude photographs. You must be doing this other stuff. Patreon is selling out almost. Like,
if I had a more established Patreon, I'd be like, I have Patreon, and you ain't getting any of my nudes anyway.
Seriously, and I think we're all underestimating how much time and work Patreon is like not an easy, unless you were doing it as a donation service. Mm-hmm. Patreon takes up many hours of my months.
Yes, it does.
It takes up a lot of time.
The amount of time some people spend complaining about Patreon, they could spend, doing something more constructive.
Yeah, that's like, I just don't, it's upsetting to me because I really do, I love Patreon, and it really is shitty seeing so many people, Patreon is the butt of every joke.
You are on Patreon. Please explain to people the process with which you go by.
Yeah, so mine is mostly, I do not do any boudoir shoots or any, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with doing that sort of stuff. It's just not for me.
Before we say there's nothing wrong with alt modeling. Nope. There's nothing wrong with cosplay modeling. Nope. There's nothing wrong with roleplay modeling. There's nothing wrong with any of that. And
people know what they're signing up for.
We appreciate everyone's hustle. If you need, make your coins.
Please do. That's it. Every time somebody is like, I'm thinking about making a Patreon, I'm like, do it. Do it. It has changed my life.
We're probably going to create one in the near future anyway.
Probably. Stay tuned. That would be amazing. So, and Mike on here, he's one of my patrons. He's been a patron since day one, since I started it. And he can vouch for how much time I've put into this. So for me, it started off for my YouTube channel, youtube.com/shutupkristen. And I then eventually incorporated my cosplay into that because I realized that the two could work towards one another. For me, I spend about 8 hours every month on Skype calls. Because people do Skype calls with me, one-on-one Skype calls, and I do hour-long Skype calls with people, and that's the only perk that I've had to literally put a cap on because it takes up a lot of my time. I do, every month I do signed cosplay, postcards. Again, they're not anything, scandalous, though there would be nothing wrong with that. I do, which takes up time. I have to get the prints. I have to sign the prints. I mail them all out on my own. I get the stamps. I do all the things. I make handmade felt pins for one of my tiers every single month that they vote on. That is a lot of my time and a lot And I'm happy to do it because I have amazing people. Emily, too, she's a patron person of mine. I've been so lucky with people supporting, but it is 100% a hustle. I have to every single week factor in, do I have Skype calls this week? How am I going to get this done? What have I posted on Patreon? Have I providing a good service for people that are supporting me?
I want people watching this to understand all of what she's doing. Those cosplay models that some people hate so much, they're doing the same thing.
They have to set up photo shoots every month. They have to, they do exclusive sets and stuff. They have to pay a photographer, almost certainly. They have to pay a photographer, set up a shoot, sometimes make a cosplay for every month. Cosplayers that do that blow my mind. This is where I really recommend, and this is where I would say, any of you that have not seen, Tom has not seen it yet, I've watched it, the Jessica Negri, Becoming Jessica Negri Rooster Teeth documentary. She talks a lot about Patreon on there, and what she does for Patreon, that is a job. For some people that are doing so well on Patreon, that is a full-time job of making sure that these people that are literally providing your income for a monthly basis are getting what they want, and getting getting what is worth their buck. It's a lot of work, guys. I can't. I hate when people try to make it seem like this is easy money that these people are getting. It's not. It's not by any means. There's still a lot of hard work that is being done for that. And if you become somebody as big as Jessica Negri, you almost certainly have to hire someone to help you with all of that. Like, she has her dad help her and her boyfriend help her. You almost certainly have to either have a support system that has agreed to help you with it, or hire someone. Because it gets so intense. Yeah, creating new cosplays, booking the photographers, booking the shoot, it is crazy. And sometimes these people are having their patrons vote on their cosplays. So they don't even have a bar to jump off of what they're going to be making next month. That's insane to me.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a ton of work.
It's a lot of work to maintain the figure that your patrons are used to. It's hard to maintain the content that your patrons are used to.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You are building a brand.
Yeah.
And if your brand is cosplay modeling or alt modeling or nude modeling, good for you. Yeah. You have found your niche.
Absolutely. If you can be successful with that, amazing. Great. I don't understand why we're shitting on people.
Thank you. Why are so many people spending time shitting on other individuals?
Also, you don't see people shitting on artists that, let's say, draw nude art.
True.
Plenty of people on Patreon are amazing artists, painters, sketch. There are so many people on Patreon. You don't see people jumping on Patreon and jumping down artists that draw portraits in the nude and all this other stuff. You don't see them getting all this hate. They are doing a very similar thing. But we have this weird stigma about people being comfortable enough with their bodies.
I think a lot of the stigma comes from pornography.
Yeah, of course.
I genuinely think that's where a lot of the stigma comes from, because a lot of people are so focused on the fact that, oh my God, they did this, that, and the third.
I can't believe they're doing that.
It's so scandalous. I can't believe they're putting it out there. Is it any of your business? No. If you don't like it, unfollow it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
What a concept.
Yeah. Yep. Unless they are underage, or you feel like they're unless they are doing something illegal, we have no.
Unless they're doing blow off of one of their partners behind, you ain't got nothing to worry about.
Let's maybe hit that little report button. But it really does bother me so much. And I get that, us joking about Patreon from time to time, I get it. But these days, it's every single joke.
There's so many debates. There's so many debates. And I'm like, what is the big deal?
Yeah, and you don't see any big Ko-Fi or coffee debates going on. Everybody's like, no, that's fine. That's because there's no, nobody's getting anything in exchange. When in reality, Patreon, the people are at least getting something. It's amazing that people want to donate something, but you're getting something in return. Like, that's great. That's
exactly.
cool. And when people are even giving people prints off of Ko-Fi, I know many people that are like, oh, if you donate over $10 to my Ko-Fi, I'll send you a print, or I'll send you a whatever. You don't see many people shitting on that too much yet.
Yet. Operative word yet.
Operative word yet. I agree, Mike. I think we should make a Patreon for our podcast in the future, perhaps.
In the future, it would be
awesome.
a very good idea.
We're really happy with what we're doing right now, but that's, if the podcast grows and all that sort of stuff, it'd be very cool, because we love doing this.
Most likely, this is just for everyone's sake. After KatsuCon, we are going to start trying to have guests on our show.
Yes.
Talk about the issues that we've discussed before, to just get a fresh perspective and just get a new voice. Because,
definitely.
I mean, how often can you listen to the two of us drone on?
Every day. Hit that like button.
Please, every day. Every day.
Every day, re-listen. Re-listen.
Please hit that like button, folks.
Subscribe.
But, I mean, who's hurting you?
No.
At the end of the day, who is taking time out of their day to shit on you for doing what you do? People
don't like seeing other people have success that they don't have, and that's a really
That's
shitty
it.
thing.
That's
really
it. That's that's the crux of it, unfortunately.
Really shitty thing.
So many people are just so focused on, the big problem that I think started this entire mess is that cosplay became a moneymaker.
Yeah.
And while there's nothing inherently wrong with that, a lot of people can take advantage of the system. And I guess some people feel that
this
is one of those ways to do it. If a person is doing something completely and totally like nude or like full on spread eagle, all that fun stuff, and they're making money off of it, it's somehow bad. It's not.
No, it's not. No, it's not. And I don't believe that that's anybody taking advantage of it. I think that's somebody looking, saying, I have this skill. Like, even think about it. Being able to create a costume every month, that's a skill. Being able to do that every single month, that's a skill. You're looking at that skill, and you're saying, like any Etsy shop owner, like any small business owner, you're saying...
Patreon is Etsy for cosplayers.
How can I continue to do that and maybe make some money off of it or help fund it? That's what you're doing. And that's, like, it really just bothers me that we feel so uncomfortable with supporting people in this way.
I think I understand why some people have the stigma about it, because as soon as you say the word cosplay, you're going to think of nude modeling.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately what it has come to. And I understand why people would take offense to that, because that's your community.
Yeah.
And when people are taking advantage of your community, you want to call them out.
Yeah.
But that's why we're developing new words, as, people do. Yep. New categories for things.
Yeah.
Alt modeling.
Yeah.
That's a phrase that we've used before.
Yep.
Nude modeling. Cosplay modeling. Role-play modeling. Nothing is explicitly wrong with being a cosplayer.
No.
At all.
No.
But I understand why people are getting so heated when you hear the term cosplay.
Yeah.
And you immediately think of...
Yeah, of course.
Patreon and nude modeling and etc.
Yeah.
So, I get it. But who is really hurting you?
No. And the same thing of, like, as a person, you've experienced it. I've had people now ask me when I say that I have a Patreon that didn't know. They're like, do you do...
Exactly. Like, you'll get the funny looks.
You get the look. And here's the thing. It's very easy to be like, no, I don't. I post this sort of stuff.
And magically...
Done.
As if by magic, there's nothing.
That's it. And if you were to go into my Patreon page right now, which you should, I'm kidding. If you were to go on it right now, though, you'd be able to tell very quickly by looking at my tiers that, like, that's not a thing I do.
Tears. Oh, tears.
By looking at my tiers. I've worked so hard, guys. It's been a time. Tentacle hands.
Just tentacle hands.
Instead of put your paws up, put your tentacles
up. We'll put that on a t-shirt.
Put your tentacles up, because you were born this way, baby. It's like my dream.
We're all superstars.
I'm literally just always waiting. Did you ever see that Vine of the girl. She's so funny. This girl on Vine, she like did this segment once that was like, in the background, you hear the beginning to "All I Want for Christmas Is You."
Yes.
And it's just a vine of her going, "No, I don't
really want to sing.
I don't want to sing." Yes, that's me. I'm constantly waiting for somebody to give me like a reason just to like get into Gaga. That's it. I'm waiting for you to give me a million reasons to let you go. I'm just waiting for it all the time. That's it.
You were giving yourself the out.
I know.
I mean, it's only
I
up
was
to
giving
you
you a million reasons. Giving you a million reasons. Giving me That's it.
Oh,
except like
heavens.
actually sing
Except
it.
like actually sing
Actually
it.
sing it, not joke sing it.
Wow. Okay then.
Woo! All right.
Eric, make a Patreon for your Patreon.
Make a Patreon for your Patreon with a Patreon and a Patreon. What's it called? I'm just looking at a bunch of stuff. For the record, Jade, I'd seen this before too. Then networking to promote the site and explaining the tiers. It's crazy people don't understand. Yeah, networking alone, you gotta hustle to get people to know you have a Patreon and want to donate to that Patreon. Let's see. I think some people complain because the nude Patreons get more attention than the not nude. Obviously, sex sells, but I've been in conversations where not so much on Patreon, but nude pics are of higher value than a regular guy cosplayer or cosplayer who's not sexy with abs or well endowed and getting male patrons in droves. It may not always be malicious. Some people are, but I really think some people are complaining out of frustration.
Well, yes, people are complaining out of frustration because it's taking attention off of a person's talent and focusing more on that another person's body.
Right. I think ultimately, though, to be honest, I think at some point that body is gonna. That even those people that maybe the stuff is focused on their body, they've got to still keep it coming to be interesting.
That's
you know, those people have to like.
And that's why
make it interesting.
Not to like point fingers or anything, but that's why some cosplayers will go out of their way to have certain surgeries.
Yeah.
To keep their bodies in check.
Yeah, which is,
to keep their bodies attractive to their audience.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it's up to them if
it's
they
up
want
to that. That is personal. That is completely and totally personal. It's your own body.
Yeah.
Do as you like with it.
Yeah. I just think it's, you know, I completely get what you're saying because, again, I have a Patreon. If I start posting nude pictures, do I believe that my patrons would go up? Yes. But do I also believe that at some point that would start to plateau and that I'd have to keep it interesting? Also, yes. Patreon, if I've learned anything from Patreon over the last 3 years, it's that you have to constantly evolve. You have to listen to the people that are being your patrons and what they're really enjoying and that's the other thing about it is that you have to be really interacting and seeing what's pulling with people. And even those sex sells things, eventually that's going to plateau off and those people do have to keep things interesting. And like I follow a couple different people on Patreon that do different things all over the spectrum. And to be fair, I just literally pledged after watching the documentary to Jessica Negri the other day. I'm not interested in any of your nude photos. I'm not interested, like not nude photos, but lewd photos, you know, whatever. Even looking at her.
That's another word that has come into play a lot in this community. Lewds.
I don't have interest in that. What I found really interesting is that she posts tons of behind the scenes photos of just her and her friends doing all the crazy faces and stuff.
Goofing off.
That's great. I love that. I'm like, that's perfect. That to me is far more interesting.
One of my favorite pictures that happened at our shoot was the photographer said, just make a whole bunch of derpy faces.
Yep.
And the derp was so strong, and I'm like, I love everything in this picture. I agree.
I love that. I love that too.
Sometimes having a derpy face on sometimes having a derpy time with your derpy friends is a derpy time.
Exactly. That's all the things. The same way that people who don't know about anime assume hentai and
yaoi are the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, to a degree, I get it, like with body pillows.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, waifus, senpais, all that fun stuff. It can get a little maddening. Can just a little frustrating.
Yeah. Yep.
But we get it.
Yeah.
We understand the frustrations that people have, but at the end of the day, it's not really in your control.
No. And it's also not taking away from you. You know what I will give to the California cosplay community? Mm-hmm. California cosplay community. You go on any of those girls, Hendo Art, Elizabeth Rage, Maid of Might, any of their Patreons and whatnot, literally all of them are supporting one another. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them. Their content is all very similar on Patreon, and they all still get patrons. None of them are taking away from each other. And that's the big stigma that I think we all have to also get out of our brains, is that, like, that is taking away from something else that is, in our books, more deserving. That's something different to everybody else, you know? Like, that's something that's going to land with one person, might not land with another. And all we can really do is, like, support one another as long as they're not posting anything illegal or terribly offensive. Like, that's about it, you know? But I love when I see, because you can see a lot of times on Patreon who those people are also supporting, and a lot of cosplayers, a lot of big name cosplayers and stuff too, support a ton of other cosplayers. And I find that to be that's a statement of that we support one another, we're not against one another.
And that's something that's so important to remember, is that this community should always be about uplifting.
Yeah.
This community should always be about putting people, not so much on a pedestal, but being supportive of them.
We're so upset that some people get notoriety, and, like, should we really be upset? Is that really taking away from anybody else? I don't think so.
No. Nadell is back.
Ooh, she back. What up, girl? I can't stand when I will cosplay and my costumes are conservative, but when I'm expected to do a sexier version of the character, or if I want photos, I need to join the sexy club. No, I'm an aunt, and I cosplay for fun. I wish people on the outside looking in wouldn't demand or expect everything and everyone in cosplay to be lewd or nude to be considered as cosplay. Kudos to those who do lewd or nude, but there should be a better understanding of it and not singling out... Oh, sorry. I got to pop up.
Ellen got in the way.
Ellen DeGeneres popped
Ellen DeGeneres showed up.
She's just texting me. Kudos to those who do lewd or nude, but there should be a better understanding of it and not singling out those who don't do one or the other. But I know I'm asking for too much. And we've talked about this in the past. We definitely agree of, like, it's frustrating that people on the outside think that cosplay is only sexy. But... you know, there's always going to be stigma with anything you do, which is just unfortunate.
I think, didn't we mention this in, like, another episode? Regardless of your medium, someone will always find a reason to bitch about it.
Always. Literally always.
I personally like Eric's comment. I've been getting some clout, so I'll probably make a joke Patreon where the end goal is spaghetti or a Kickstarter.
Can I share the spaghetti, though?
Is
it mom spaghetti?
Can we partake of the mom spaghetti?
A mom spaghetti, though? As long as it's mom spaghetti.
As long as it's mom spaghetti.
Then we're all good. I'm pledging.
We always have to make sure that our knees are weak and that our arms are
heavy. Mom spaghetti.
Mom spaghetti. Vomit on his sweater already.
I hate that line. It's my only part that I don't like. It's such a visual for me. I don't know why. Whenever I play that.
Sweater,
yeah.
Sweater weather.
Sweater weather.
Sweater weather.
Sweater weather. Mom spaghetti.
Also,
yes.
What's happening?
Makes pork sounds.
She dropped the fork and the plate.
My shoulders were heavy. Mom spaghetti.
There was a comment Walter had made saying, I'd love to have a Patreon, but I'd only have, like, one patron. 10 to 1, it'd probably be me.
That's it. Listen, I don't think that's true, Walter.
Not at all. That's true. Absolutely
You're
not.
You're a great Superman cosplayer, of many other things as well, but you're Superman on point. You shouldn't be upset when your friend is getting notoriety. You should be happy for them because you're friends. Agreed. Friends? Friends in the cosplay
Do friends
community?
exist in the cosplay community? I only thought everybody was enemies.
We hate each other.
We despise each other. Like, once the cameras are turned off, oh my god.
You should see. We're like, it's like this, and then we're like, okay, get the fuck away from me.
I mean, we should always, as we eat cheesecake together, we've literally crossed that border. She is Rose, I am Dorothy. Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend. I'm giving you a million reasons. I just love her so much.
Oh my heavens to Betsy.
That's, in conclusion.
In conclusion.
Donate to a Patreon if you want to. Don't donate to a Patreon if you don't want to. But don't be mad that someone has done a good job.
Don't be a shitty person.
Yeah, don't be mad that somebody's done a good job of creating an audience.
Don't be salty.
That takes work. Whether you got your clothes on or not, that takes work. A lot of work.
It's the truth.
It does. There are plenty of people on Patreon that sell nude stuff that don't do well. There's a lot of other stuff, too, that, is just...
I mean, that's a big problem. It's that people will automatically think, hey, cosplay $signs. It ain't that easy, sweet cakes.
It's not. No. Mm-mm. You might get
if anything was that easy, everybody could do it.
Exactly. And, I'm sure that people are like, well, everyone is doing it in the cosplay community.
I was just going to say.
But at the same time, not all those people are wildly successful. We're still talking about a small pool of people that are really consistently doing well doing that stuff, you know? And a lot of people donate to Patreons not expecting some of those perks and rewards. I have people on my Patreon that donate and they don't ask for any rewards at all. So there are a lot of different people might just want to support you. I don't know. Stop shitting on Patreon.
No. I think that's very important to remember. Yeah. It's that people will support you just to support you and because of what you do. And I think that is incredible.
It's crazy. I say all the time that I am the luckiest. So many people that have joined my Patreon have stayed around for years, for long amounts of time. Even sometimes when I'm super, this past month was crazy for me. I transitioned to a new job. I did a bunch of different stuff. And I had to, put off a lot of perks for many, many weeks. All of them were you're doing your life. We're here. Get to us when you can. That's incredible.
That's it.
That's crazy. Crazy to me that is a thing that people are great.
Check the comments because Facebook is doing that silly thing where it just does not want to show. It doesn't want to show comments and whatnot.
Okay. As long as my friends don't lie or hide things or do suspect things in regard to their fame, I'll support them and be happy for them.
I'm reading Walter's comments.
Walter and Tom, if you were a patron of mine, I'd send you a weekly wink video. Walter, can you please stop hitting on Tom in front of me? Thank you. Can you please?
He made me fucking snort. You bastard.
You bastard.
Son of a bitch.
Also, bye, Mama Darkside. My amazing friend Emily has a newborn baby at home.
Oh, congratulations, Mommy.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Mama.
Mama Darkside is what I call her.
That's adorable.
I know, because her name is Emily Darkside.
Mama Darkside.
Mama Darkside. That's it.
That'll be my new nickname.
That's it. Mama Darkside. You'll find out my dark side later.
Walter, that was directed at you.
That you, Walter. Walter, to be clear, I'm not hitting on you. I'm hitting on you. I'm hitting on Tom. I'm hitting on you. I'm not hitting on you. My face is so red.
Mine too. Is it warm in here? My God.
It's really warm in here. I can't sit this down. I'm wearing just a bra.
It's just so warm in here. I'm not wearing anything underneath here. I just have chest hair, that's all.
I hope Vincent's still here for the chest hair.
Of course he is. Why wouldn't he be?
Why wouldn't he be?
And every last inch of me is covered in thicker hair than Gaston.
Is anybody saying no? Okay, we're all covered.
Oh, we're all covered.
We're at 55 minutes.
We're at 55 minutes, kids. Anyway, we didn't talk about a cosplay. No! I know who our cosplayer of the week is going to be.
Who is it, Tom? Asks, actually wondering.
Our cosplayer of the week, considering last week was... Chris the Iron Man Redfield. Chris the Iron Man Redfield.
Chris cosplays Soldier 76 but has the last name Reinhardt. Our cosplayer of the week this week is going to be
Vampbrea.
Oh, yay! Yes, okay.
I love and adore that girl to pieces.
Yeah.
She is a fabulous, fabulous cosplayer.
Yes, very much so.
She is so sweet and so endearing, and I think that this is well deserved for her.
Woo!
Having said that, you can check her out on Facebook, if I'm not mistaken, at Vampbrea.
Yeah.
And on Instagram at Vampbrea as well. And Vampbrea is spelled Vampbrea. So Vampbrea.
And as always, we'll have a post up
We'll have a post up featuring her.
So if you can't remember that info, go check out the post. Share it. Share the cosplay love.
Share and
like and subscribe and send us pictures of cheesecake.
Send us pictures of cheesecake. Send us cheesecake.
You know where we are.
You know where we live.
Figure it out. Figure it out, kids.
Probably as we near Katsucon, we are going to more than likely post pictures of what we're working on. Yeah. We would love
yes.
to have progress pictures sent to us so we can post your work as well.
Amazing. I would love if we made a collage of what people are working on.
I want us to do that
That's
as well.
a great idea. I love that idea.
As Katsucon fast approaches, or as any convention fast approaches, send us your work so we can do a collage for that convention that you're going to be frequenting.
Yes, we'll put your little, just tell us what cosplay is going to be.
Yeah.
And we'll put your username and your little, and your, what your cosplay is going to be with the picture. Oh, I love that idea. Looks
Sometimes I have good ideas. Sometimes. Shut up.
Tentacles up. Tentacles up.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Great.
Actually, one day I do want to see you cosplay as Ursula.
I would love
I know we talked about it before, but I want you. I would
love to cosplay as Ursula. I think she's so bae. She's so bae. I love her. Her and Hades are my favorite Disney villains. So Hades is, to be fair, my favorite Disney villain. I'm sorry. He's just like a. He's just an inch,
just an
like
ounce
not even
over.
above. I just can't. I just cannot. His sass is my everything. Meg is my everything. Maybe I just want to steal Meg away.
Why not? I mean, sure.
Maybe I just want Meg.
Why the hell not?
Maybe I just want to force Meg to be in love with me. Maybe I'm Hercules. I don't know.
Oh, you can Hercules.
I desperately too want to do. I desperately also want to do. There are tons of photos where it's Meg but in Hercules outfit.
Oh, do that. Yes.
Would love to do that.
I'm a fan of that idea.
If anybody wants to make that $300 wig for me, please at me. That's the reason why I haven't done a Meg cosplay, because that wig though.
Oh, that wig though.
But anyway.
Anyway. Ciao meow for now, guys, and we will see you next week.
Mumbai.
Mumbai, Dubai, bye.
Now I have to stop this. We didn't time that well.
We didn't time that well at all.
That's okay. Get away.